Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we are discussing on Infosys managerial round interview question and answers. So all the question answers which we are discussing in this video are based upon the real interview experience shared by the candidate. Now, before we start on the list of the interview questions, I want to discuss on two important points. So the first one is, if you are giving managerial round interview for any company, not only for Infosys, but for any company like TCS, Wipro, Accenture, Cognizant, Capgemini, any service-based company or product-based company, or even like the startups, even then you should watch this video, because for the technical round, for the technical interviews in different companies, they are different and the expectation is also different, right? Expectation of the expertise in tech and coding is different in different companies. But coming to the managerial round, all the interviews, most of the interviews, they have the similar questions in managerial round. So I would suggest you to watch this video if you are preparing for the managerial round interview for any company. Also, I've already made a video on top 15 managerial round interview questions which are frequently asked in any interview. So I'll be attaching the link of that video in description. You can check that video too. And the second important point which I wanted to say is, I have already mentioned, like I have given the questions, and in case you already know the answers, you have the experience, you know how to answer that questions, you have content, then you can give the answers from your own experience. In case you don't know, you don't have experience, you don't know how to answer such questions, so for that I have written answers from my side. So these are the answers which any ideal candidate should be saying in the interview if they are asked with that question. But yeah, if you already know the answers for that, you have experience, you know, then you can say from your own experience. In case you don't know, then I have written answers from my end, you can use those answers. So let's start the video. First question which was asked was, tell me about yourself and explain about the roles and responsibilities. So you can answer this question as, my name is so and so and I am front end developer with around 2 3 4 5 any year of experience in reactjs, and my responsibilities include developing reusable UI components, integrating APIs, optimizing performance and fixing defects. I closely work with backend and QA team to ensure the smooth delivery and user experience. Okay, this is how you can introduce yourself. And a tip for this is, for this question is, you have to keep your introduction short and professional. Also, you should be focusing on the impact rather than just listing the tasks. Okay, so here you can see that I have listed that what are the impacts, that is making the reusable UI components, integrating the API and optimizing the performance of our application and fixing defects. So if you have worked on any optimization of your application, or increasing the speed or increasing the user experience and fixing defects, or you were the go-to person for any production bugs, production defects, so these impacted things, like the what impact you have created in your team, so such things you can include in your introduction. Okay, now let's go to the second question. Second question was, why do you want to change or switch the company? So before you answer this question, before we read on the question, one important thing here you have to remember is, you should never badmouth about your current company. Your answer should focus on the growth and learning experience which you want in your future. Okay, so you should always say about the growth which you want. That is the reason you want to change or switch, and don't say that uh, don't say anything bad about your current company. Okay, you should always focus on the growth and learning. So you can answer this question as, I have learned a lot in my current role, but now I am looking for more challenging environment where I can work on the scalable projects, modern technologies, and grow both technically and professionalism. So you can see here, this answer is basically focusing on the growth and learning, and you're not saying anything bad about your current company or about your current team. So you can say that, okay, I've learned everything, most of the things I've learned from the current role, but yeah, I want to grow, upskill in my career, grow in my career. That is why I'm looking for a change. Now, the third question which was asked was, have you ever had a direct connect with the client? So you can answer this question as, yes, I have interacted directly with the client. I've seen candidates saying only this much, yes, I have interacted with the client. But you should also say that, when did you connect, for how much, what was the frequency when you were connecting with the client, for the requirement, for the demos, for any clarification of the features when you used to connect, and how did it help you. So these things also you should be mentioning in your answer. So here you can see I have written that yes, I have interacted directly with the client during the requirement discussion and the sprint demos, and it helped me understand the expectations better and deliver the features aligned with their needs. Okay, this is how you can answer. But in case you have never connected with the client, you were never allowed to connect with the client, maybe because you were junior or you were in some internal project, in that case you can say that no, I have not directly connected with the client, but I used to connect with the functional team to get any information of how implementation should be done. So for internal project, you can say about your internal functional team. But in case you were working with client but you were never given chance to connect with the client directly, then you can say that yes, I've not connected directly with the client, but I have participated in the team calls where client feedback was discussed with my senior or team lead, and I've implemented those changes whatever the client was expecting. At least you can say that you have not directly connected, but you were in call whenever client was connecting with any of your senior or any manager, so you were there in call at least. Okay, now the fourth question is, have you ever given the client interview? So you can say yes, I have attended the client interviews for the project onboarding. They usually focus on understanding our skills and communication and how we fit into the existing system. So you should emphasize mostly on the communication skills and the professionalism which clients generally expect. Okay, now let's go to the fifth question. Fifth question which was asked was, what factors should we consider while creating the app? So here you can say that before development, we should consider the target audience and the performance, security, scalability, and the responsive design and accessibility. Also maintain clean architecture and the proper documentation. So these are the things which are very important factors which we should be considering while creating the app. And you can mention about the performance and scalability. User experience is also one of the important factor which we should be considering. So these are the few points which generally managers are expecting: that target audience, performance, security, scalability, accessibility, and responsive design, also user experience, and these things like clean architecture and proper documentations. Now let's go to the sixth question. Sixth question which was asked was, suppose you need API from backend team and they are not providing it to you. How will you handle this situation? So here your answer should show the collaboration and problem solving attitude, and it shouldn't be like you're complaining to someone about the backend team. See, whatever happens in real world, like once you are inside that company, that is different, but at least in interview, don't show that okay, you are going to fight, you are going to scream at someone, or you're going to complain on someone. Don't say such answers. Your answers should show the collaboration and problem solving attitude. So here you can answer the question as, I would first communicate politely with the backend team to understand their blockers, and meanwhile I'll create the mock data or the temporary JSON responses to continue the front end development and avoid the delays. So see this answer which you have said, that I will create the mock data or the temporary JSON responses to continue on my front end development. This shows the problem solving skills, right? That even if there was some issue, you have some other alternative way of how you can avoid the blockers in front end. So you will at least have the temporary JSON or the mock data so that you are not blocked for your front end development. And when you say that you will communicate politely with the backend team and try to understand their blocker, this shows the collaboration attitude. This is how you can answer the sixth question. Now going to seventh question. Seventh question which was asked was, how much time will you take to create a 7-page application? So for such questions, you should never give the exact number blindly. First you should show that you are going to analyze the application, the scope, the pages, how much efforts are required. So these things should be analyzed first, right? So you are going to analyze the scope first, then only you can predict that how much time is required. So never give the exact number blindly. First try to ask manager that inside pages what and all components are expected, what client is expecting, and what about backend and testing. So everything you should take care of, because you don't know how many people are there in your group. So if there are more people, more front end developers, then maybe your task might end earlier. If you're only the one person or two-person, then it might take more time, right? So you should never give the number blindly. So you can say answer as, it depends upon the design complexity and the API readiness, that whether API is available or not, backend whether they are working or they've started working now, or will they work after 1 week, we don't know. So our front end depends upon the design complexity and the API readiness. For a standard app with reusable components, around 2 to 3 weeks, including testing, would be realistic. Now let's go to the eighth question. Eighth question which was asked was, what do you know about UI UX design principle? Now you can say that good UI UX focuses on consistency and accessibility, simplicity, and intuitive navigation. The goal is to make user journey smooth and visually appealing. You can mention about the color contrast and spacing and responsiveness for the bonus point. So if you are considering UI UX, then the color contrast, spacing, padding, such things are also important. Also accessibility and consistency, that in one page you are using some different way, for component in another page you are using something else. That is not how it works. So consistency is also important. Also simplicity, it should not be complex, it shouldn't be complicated for your users to use your application, and intuitive navigation. So these are the important UI UX design principles. Now the ninth question, how do you test your application? So you can say that I do manual testing first, and followed by using the browser dev tools for debugging, and I verify the API responses, form validations, and responsiveness, and cross browser compatibility. So this is how you can say that these are the major ways of how you can test your application. So first is checking the API responses, then form validation. If you have written any form, then they should be properly validated and sanitized. Also responsiveness, you cannot just say that for such width, for so and so width I have completed. You should also check that for tab mode or PC mode, mobile mode, is your application responsive. So that is also important part of the testing. And cross browser compatibility should also be there. It shouldn't be like your application is working in one browser and in another browser it is breaking. So these are the important ways of how you can test your application. And also you can mention about the postman. So postman you can use for testing the API responses. And jest is also one of the library, one of the tool of testing your code, testing your application, for the automated and for the unit testing if it is applicable. So these are the ways of how you can test your application. So jest is important for from React perspective, and postman also you can say, jest and postman. Now let's go to the 10th question. What should be the success percentage of the test cases which you have written? So you can answer this question as generally 95%. See, 90 to 95% is the accepted, I think, in most of the companies. So in few companies it is also 85. 85 is like the minimum, and then it goes on 85, 90, or 95. So in this range only you should give your answer. So here I have written 95% and above test cases success rate is the expected before deployment to ensure the stability and reduce the regression issues. So this answer, it shows that you are having awareness that 100% success, it is ideal, but it is not always practical. So mostly in the companies we have the percentage between 85 to 90 or 95%. In the client based project we have 95%, but mostly it is like 85. So you can give your answer between 85 to 95, any number. But yeah, it is not always 100%. It is ideal, but it is not always practical. Now let's go to the 11th question. 11th question was, where do you maintain the version history of your code? So you can say that we use the Git for the version control, and all our repositories are hosted on GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. Each feature branch is created, reviewed, and merged via pull request. Okay, this is an important point, that how you are creating, reviewing, and merging the pull request. It is through feature branch, and this is helpful in maintaining the version history of our code. And you have to mention about the branching strategies, that how you create feature branch, if you have main branch, or if you have development branch, master branch, what are the different branching strategies. And about the code reviews also you have to say. So here reviewed is there, right? So code review for the maturity, and if someone is adding any review comment in your PR, so once you have gone through the review comments, you fix them, then again you raise a pull request, and once it is merged, you close that defect or you close that story point in your Jira. So this is how you maintain the version history of your code. Now the 12th question which was asked was, have you ever deployed your app? So you can answer this question as yes, I have deployed React application using CI/CD pipelines on the platforms like AWS, Netlify, or Vercel. I also handle environment configuration during the deployment. And even if you have done it only for once or twice, mention these things confidently and focus on the process, that how you were able to deploy. And in case you have never deployed, at least you can go and watch some of the videos of how you can deploy your application on these platforms. So Vercel one, I think it is the easiest one. So at least even if you have not deployed even for once, then at least go and watch some YouTube video on how we deploy our app on Vercel. Now the 13th question was, what is SDLC? So SDLC, it is abbreviation of the software development life cycle, and it includes the steps like requirement gathering, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So just a small short one line definition plus the list of the processes is perfect answer here. They are not expecting you to give the definition or say more about the SDLC. They are just checking that whether you know about this. So you can say that yes, it is abbreviation of software development life cycle, and the different steps are requirement gathering. First you gather the requirement, then you design your app, then you do the development. Once development is done, you do testing, then deployment happens, and then we get into the last stage, that is maintenance. So we have to do the maintenance, we have to fix if there is any bug or any issue reported from our client. So that is the last phase, that is maintenance. Now let's go to 14th question. What is agile process? So what is agile? Agile, it is a iterative approach to the software development, and work is divided into the small sprints, and each sprints deliver a potentially shippable product increment. Okay, so this is your agile process. So it is like normal, you need not tell the definition, you can just say that this is a iterative approach, and in agile work is divided into different sprints. Okay, it is not like together you're doing everything. So there are small sprints, and then in each sprints we have the target, that how many story points, how many features we have to develop, or how many enhancements we have to do. So those things are there in these sprints, we target them and then we deliver them as a potentially shippable product increment. You can also mention about the scrums meeting if you used to have any scrum. So you can mention about scrum and daily stand up calls where you will be giving your update on how much development is completed or if you have any blockers, and also about the retrospectives for more details. Now the 15th question which was asked was, how would you have you ever applied the agile methodologies in your project? So you can answer this question as, in my current project we follow the 2 weeks sprints, and then we have daily stand-ups for progress tracking and sprint planning for the tasks and retrospectives to improve the process efficiency. So this answer, it shows that you are actively participating in the agile methodologies in your project. So yeah, these things are the different ways of the agile, that you have the sprints which we have discussed, like there are different short sprints. So normally sprints is of the 2 weeks, that is 14 days. Then you have the stand-ups and the scrum calls for the progress tracking, where you are updating your the development progress, and if there is any blocker or you are waiting for any API, or the QAs would be saying that if they have found any issues, so you have stand-up calls. Then there is sprint planning for the task, that how much tasks could be completed in one sprint or two sprints, or what would happen. And then of course the retrospective, where you would be discussing what went well, what did not go well, to improve the process efficiency. So yeah, now we have discussed on all important 15 questions, managerial round interview questions, which were asked in the Infosys interview. In case you found this video to be helpful, then do give a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any feedback, suggestion, or you want me to make video on any other topic, you can let me know in the comment section. All the best for your managerial round interview, and thanks for watching everyone.